Hello. Welcome.
Hello.
So, how has everyone's day been?
Sorry, what did you say?
How has everyone's day been?
Oh, it's very, very hot. It is like 100 here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, up here it's a little colder. Yeah. Oh, and you guys can show your video if you want to. All right. Gonna wait a few minutes here, but while we wait, why don't we introduce ourselves a bit? Um, my name's Quinn, as you all probably know, and I like to play board games. Then we can all do one like that. Lucky, why don't you go?
My name is Lecky. Actually, I like to cook, hiking, and meditation and praying.
Yeah.
I live in Northern California,
Nice.
half an hour from San Francisco.
Nice.
Yeah. And
All right.
I have no experience at all in programming or any IT, just a normal, Microsoft Office and some kind of email.
Yeah.
And other than that, no knowledge of programming or any IT at all.
Well, let's change that. All right, Thal, you want to go?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Saw, and I like to walking and cooking, and also listen to the audiobooks.
Yeah.
I used to play board game, and not very much anymore. Um, for the software for coding, I don't have experience. Um, I used to take some classes, but a long time ago, so I don't really remember it. And after the after the class finish, I never get to use it in work.
Yeah.
Like a Unix, now it's, I don't know, is it use C plus,
Oh, yeah.
but not long time ago. I don't really, really remember anything. I never get to use it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Go ahead.
this JavaScript is my first. the exposure to JavaScript.
Yeah. Yeah, back then, no one really taught JavaScript to start with or anything. JavaScript was more of a niche thing.
Mhm.
C plus has always been big. Now it's used a lot for video games.
Oh,
All those like lower level languages, they're a little faster, so high performance things like video games to use.
mhm. So I want to get a job in in this field. I don't know if I
Oh yeah.
can do that.
Oh no, yeah. Yeah, very lucrative position right now. A lot of jobs for that. Um, yeah, and actually, while there are certainly jobs that you can find like more basic stuff we're teaching right now, but the goal is to actually teach you the higher level stuff like frameworks like Angular or React. And then once
Mm,
you know that stuff, you can certainly get a job.
really? Oh, yeah. Sound good.
Yeah, I definitely want to start with basics first. Then
Mhm.
all right. Thank you, everyone. That was great. In that case, let's begin learning. Let's start by booting up our Replit. Grab it here. Shoot, where is it? There it is. All right. We'll go back to create and then to HTML. Grab HTML, CSS, JS, create REPL. All right. All right, so once we are here, let's go ahead and I'll do a quick review of some of the earlier stuff here. We have the headers, which are H1s. That is the big title. If I run my code, I get a big title. Does anyone remember what a smaller title would be? If you want to make like a subtitle, what tag would I use?
H2?
H2, right. H2, H2, subtitle, and I can go all the way down to H5. You tend to not use any more than like H1, H2. You don't see many H5, but it's an option. Because once you get down to like H4, you might as well be using P tags. P tags are the paragraph tag, and you put a bunch of text here. While technically we actually don't you could just write text right in the body, and it's the same as writing a P tag. You can't put CSS on this. You can't target text that is just not in the body. So a P tag is usually used, it's nice for separation and also for styling. So pretty much always use P tags. All right. Now, first step, we'll have everyone just make a P tag. Write something down like my favorite food is mangoes. That'll be my P tag. And then in the styling, I would like you to make the P tag red. Make all P tags the color red. That's like a little challenge here. And does everyone understand the challenge?
Yes.
And when you're done, you can post your code in chat, or you can just like share your screen. All right, that's a good P tag. And now, oh, and there we go. Nice, good job. And yeah, let me just do that on my code. We'll go P, curly braces, color, colon, red, semicolon. And if we run it, rep will like to take its time sometimes. All right, I'll have to do it again. Color, red. There we go. And Saul, you got to, or have you gotten it? Are you having any trouble with it, Saul? Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, that is also a valid way of doing it. It will in fact make it red. One thing that changing the color in the body would do though, well, it's fine too, is that any H1s you make will also be red. For example, this H1 would also be red. And that's fine if you want like the default text of your website to be the color red. But if you want to be specifically just the paragraph, like all the small text, then you put that in the P tag section. But that's also fine. Does the same thing. All right. And if I were to make just my H1s a different color, I could make all my H1s blue. Now, let's say I did this. Body braces, and you don't need to write this code, body braces, color green. So I've set all the text in my website to be green with the body tag. I've also set just all my H1s to be blue and just all my paragraphs to be red. Now here's a quiz. If I press run, what color would the H1 be? What color would my hello be?
Blue.
Blue, you're right. Because more specific always trumps more broad. CSS will kind of do it like, okay, make all the bodies green. Okay, now make all the H1s blue. All right.
When you say body, does it mean the background or how will it look like? Will you be, can you press run?
Yeah, actually. There you go. And body means the entire website. If you see here, the body tag surrounds all the code we'll be writing in, because the body is what CS or HTML uses to define everything you see in the website. And so color green would be making all the text green. So actually, if I go ahead and comment out all my other code here, I can comment out in CSS and HTML, just like in JavaScript, I can press Command/. The actual commenting is a little different in CSS. You see it with the stars. Also in HTML, looks a little different. But I can just press Command/ to comment out. Anyways, if I comment out the rest of my code and only have a body color green, all my text is green. That's because the body is just all the code. If I wanted to change the background color, I would go background blue. Sorry, background color blue. And it all becomes blue. If I were to use background color on the H1, it wouldn't change the background color of the whole website. For example, the H1, I want the color to be green, or let's make the color yellow. Oh, okay, I missed a D. Background color yellow. You see, just a portion of the website becomes yellow. Just the area around the H1 becomes yellow. Any questions about that? Everyone kind of understand that?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you have a question or you understand?
Understand, yes.
Okay, nice. All right, and I have inadvertently made the Ukrainian flag here. All right. Let's actually go ahead for a second here and talk about what some of this other stuff means. You see, to start a HTML, to start any website, you need all this, like all these tags here. What do they mean? I'll go over some of them. The head, all the code in the head tags are sort of like meta tags. They're all stuff that are not in the website, but is letting like the browser know, here's what I'm doing. For example, the title. Actually, if you put title here, you can put the title of your website. Like if I go to Facebook, you see there's a Facebook here on the tab. That is the title. That's something that's not on the website, but it's something that the browser will take control of. Also, this other meta stuff, char set, name viewport, that's all stuff that is setting stuff for the browser of how to handle your website. Like it's sort of like the website settings. None of the actual, what you see is on there, but everything is set up there. The other thing there is the style sheet. You see, what we're doing here is we're actually linking this styles file to the HTML. We're doing that by using the link tag. REPL already has that all set up for us. But if we don't actually have to do that, we can actually have a tag called style, and then just start putting our styles in here. I input H1 color black. Let's go brown. Now it's brown. This is a way to do it for like super low level websites. It's almost always better to have a separate style sheet, but it's something you can do. The CSS actually isn't going to be shown, right? It's actually just manipulating what's already there. So it's all going to be in the head. Let me put the link back there. Any questions about the head part?
No, for now.
Yeah. And it's fine if you don't understand it too much. I'm not going to test you on it or anything. Just know that the head is there for setting up the settings of the website. You do not need to understand what each setting is. You just basically copy it down whenever you make a website. Most IDEs have like a command you can type to just create, the skeleton. All websites need the same little thing. Couple other things, you do have this like HTML tag here. That's just going to encapsulate everything you write. The HTML is just also everything. You see in the style, we actually reference the HTML. It's kind of like, it encapsulates the head and the body. It's just everything to do with HTML. And then doc type just lets the browser know what kind of language you're writing. This is all kind of, like 90s era stuff. Nowadays, if like someone were to rewrite HTML, it would probably be a lot easier. But, back then, this is what we did. So, and it's kind of just stayed that way. All right. Let's go ahead and mess with some styling. How about that? All right. Let's go ahead and make an actual website introducing us. We'll have the H1 be my name is Quinn, and we can all start writing the code here. Just to start making a website that will introduce us. H1 Quinn, we'll put a H2 for I like to colon. And now I'm going to introduce to you a new tag here. It is called a list. To make a list, we will go lesson sign and then UL, greater than sign, UL. We will now click enter, and then inside the ULs, we will make another tag, and that tag will be IL. And then greater than sign, and REPL will close it for us. So we have a UL and IL. We have an IL tag inside the UL tag. Inside the IL tag, we will write hiking. If we run, we see we have the first item of a list here, and it's kind of like spaced so that it's like a list. And actually, one second. Let me change the color here to be something a little bit better. Color white. There we go, a little easier to see there. Actually, I believe it's LI, list item, right? Yeah, there we go. Now we have that little dot that all lists have. All right. Does anyone have this? UL and then inside it an LI.
Yes.
All right. Now, if we take that li, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to make a new line inside the ul, and I will paste it. I do that a couple more times. And then in each one, I will write down a different thing I like to do. Play board games. Watch movies and write code. And I get a whole list. I'll give everyone a chance to make a little something like that. And when you're done, you can just tell me you're done. Oh, there we go.
Mine look a little different. I don't know what I did wrong.
Oh yeah, actually, that's probably my mistake. I changed it from IL to LI. I actually did it wrong on my part. It's LI and not IL. I'll explain what all this means in a second and like how to remember it. All right. Now, to show what this means, UL stands for unordered list. Unordered because there's no order. It's not like 1, 2, 3. It's just dots. In fact, if I did OL, standing for ordered list, I would get the whole 1, 2, 3 thing. Go back to unordered here. LI stands for a list item, kind of like how we called each element of an array an item. List item is just an item of the list. So unordered list, basically you are telling HTML, I am creating an unordered list. Li, you're saying, here's one item of the list. And when everyone has that, you can say you're done. As long as you have something like what I've made here with the dots and the hiking. All right. All right, looks good. And as I showed earlier, instead of UL, you can also do OL. OL making a numbered list. Shoot. There we go. An ordered list, if you like one thing more than the other. I do not have that kind of decision making to know which one I like more, so I use unordered list. Now, here is probably a very good question. I've given you a nice little, you kind of know what it stands for. So you might be able to remember UL and ILI, but you saw even I forgot it. So how do you remember all of these tags? You do not. You do not remember all the tags. You look it up. Just knowing that, okay, I know in HTML I can make a list. Just knowing that, you can then look up how to make a list in HTML. Look it up on Google, go to W3 Schools, and you can see right here, they give an example of how to make a list. They have UL and then LI tags. they also show how to make an ordered list. This is very nice. You can even just go ahead and like copy their code here and then paste it into your code. I'm not going to do that because I've already made my list. But the point is, as a programmer, your goal isn't to remember each little thing to do. Your goal is to know you can do this thing. And then when you go to try to do that thing, you look up how to. All right. Any questions about this unordered list? All right. And does anyone remember what tag I would use to make an ordered list? A list where each item is numbered.
Or OL.
OL, correct. All right, and last thing, does anyone remember what LI stands for?
List.
Item.
Yes, good job. All right. I'm going to go ahead and give you a bit of a Googling challenge. I'm going to tell you to do something I know you don't know how to do, and then I'm going to have you go out into the internet and Google how to do it, and then come back and tell me. My quest for you is to find out, give me a second, I'll think of it. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to stop my share screen. Shoot, sorry, 1 second. Technical difficulties. All right. I'm trying to find a good thing that would give you a good website that wouldn't be too confusing here. All right, okay. Here's my quest for you. This might be a little bit difficult, but my quest is to find out how to make a background image, how to make an image that would be the entire background of a website. I'll write it down here. How to make background image, HTML, CSS. That is the challenge. And go off on the internet and find out for me. Ah, there we go. Lucky found it. Good job. And yeah, you do background image URL. And let's try that. If I share my screen here, I actually use the same website that Lucky did. I type in how to make background image, went to W3 Schools, found background image. Let's first try the go-to thing of copying the code and just pasting it in our website. Like, what would happen? First of all, this would take a little bit of prior knowledge because you can't just paste it in the styles, right? Like in the body tag. If you do that, nothing happens. You might know that style tags go in the header. If you run that, you also see nothing happens. That is because it's giving us this like base image here, but we actually need like a whole website image. We need an image on the web because we don't have an image stored. So I will go find an image. I believe we did this last Tuesday. I will go grab this little image of a tree. I will copy image address. I'll go back to my HTML and paste it in here. And as you see, my P tag has what appears to be an image as its background. If everyone wants to go out and do that, you can just copy Lucky's code that she pasted here. And tell me when you're done. All right, actually, I need to go deal with something real quick. I will come right back and then hopefully you'll be done. I'm back. All right, has anyone managed to get this working? Or is everyone having problems?
When I copy the image address and paste it next to URL, I don't know, it's like many lines. It is not short like yours.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why.
Yeah. When you run it though, do you get any image coming up? It's gonna be small, it's me right here. Because as long like I happen to get lucky here because I got it from Pixabay, which is like an image site, so all their image URLs are gonna be super short. But like if I got my image from Wikipedia, copy image address, so I paste it into here, making sure to leave it like delete everything already there, leaving it empty. I get a bigger one. And you can get some pretty big ones here. Like if you don't search up image and search in like go coding. Yeah, let's say I take this image. Okay, that's about the same size, but yeah, you can get really long images, and that's just because the website isn't built to like have that image there, so you're going to get some really weird stuff sometimes. But as long as you do see the image, then you should be good. There we go. Now my favorite food is mangoes. Has this nice little coding background. It's very small right now, but we get to fixing that in a second. All right, is anyone else having problems?
My is so like the whole 2 pages of the address.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know, or something wrong.
Yeah, that would be a problem. Yes. Well, try maybe here. Search up coding. And just grab one of these images. Maybe like this one in particular, if you can see it. Or maybe just grab the first one. Here's one I see. Copy image. I should be able to get a fairly small URL, not that long. Yeah, maybe you got unlucky. Try a different image. Oh yeah, it'd probably be hard to delete it though if it's that long. Oh, one other thing, make sure you're right-clicking and getting copy image address. I'm not sure what would happen if I like copy image and then paste it in here. Yeah, I won't get anything. But you might be trying to get like some binary of the image or something. And Lucky, are you also having that problem? Like you have a way too big image URL?
I think I'm okay right now.
Okay. Oh, and when you click run though, are you guys getting an actual image? Like, do you see the image on the paragraph? That's good. All right, yeah, and one thing I'll just go ahead and do right now is that right now we have the background image being put on a p tag. That's actually not what we want. It's not great. Let's put it on the body. If we were to put it on the body, we have the image all across our entire website. All right, how are you doing, Saul?
I'm still still looking for image.
All right. If you want, you could use the image Lucky has. She put a image on the chat. I'll test it out here. I'll also change that to body again. Oh, okay, shoot. That image isn't working for me.
the image doesn't show.
Um, Well, when I click on your URL, it actually brings me to the website. Here, let me just put my URL that I have in. There we go. I'll put this URL in the chat. It's possible it's a browser thing. And maybe your computer is trying to copy too much information. But here's the image I have in chat, and that seems to be working for me. I have body, background image, URL, and then the URL to the actual website tag.
Yes, it works now.
All right. And Saul, how are you doing? Are you still having a problem, Saul?
Yeah, I don't see the image.
You know what? Do you know how to share your screen? It's the button on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You like share screen and then like click on the browser you want and then share.
Click on. It doesn't.
You have an option for like Google Chrome -index.html. There we go. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, one, go ahead on line 10 and change that P, just delete the P itself and put body instead. All right, and if you run, it should now work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was because see here, sometimes the actual code that a website is going to give us is not going to be exactly what we want. The W3 code was just setting the image for a P tag. That's not really what we want. We want to set the image for our entire website, so we will use the body instead. And the reason, Saul, you weren't seeing anything at all is because you actually didn't have a P tag in your code probably. And so it had nothing to set as the background image. But here we have the body setting the background image to an image. All right. And you know what? Yeah, let's keep the style here. One thing you are going to see a lot is having the style tag inside the HTML. It's fairly common to do nowadays. Well, depending on your framework. Most of the time for like a business, you're going to separate your style and your HTML just because as a business, you have such a large file, right? Like your HTML is probably 200 lines and your style is probably more. But for smaller websites, you can just write the style tag directly in and then put all your CSS in the same file as your HTML. Just know that you're actually writing different code in your style. You're writing a different language. All right. let's go ahead and try one more thing. We'll do the same kind of exercise about looking something up. We'll do it this time though with changing the font. We might want a different font for our header. So the goal now is to figure out how to change the font of text. I would look up how to change font in CSS. So if you want to go out on the internet, try to find that out, and then tell me when you're done. All right, there we go. We have a whole bunch of code there. And so if you like to keep trying to look for stuff, that's totally good. And you notice that there is a lot of stuff in that code. You see a lot that it's important to have that sort of basic knowledge of stuff, because otherwise, when you look stuff up, you're going to see stuff that you're not familiar with. For example, if I were to take all of Lucky's code, go to my CSS, paste all that in, you would see nothing is different. The reason for that is because they put this little dot in front of every one of their tags. Let's talk about why they put a dot. If we remember from earlier, we did a lot of stuff with IDs. IDs were done with, let's say on this H1, we did ID equals quotation marks name. And then in our styles, we could go hashtag name, and then we could change the color to whatever we wanted, or we could do what we intended to do here, which is change the font family. Instead of just typing font in CSS, we have to type font dash family, font family, colon, and then I'll type in Arial, semicolon. And now my header is different. And sorry if I seem to be jumping around here. There's a lot of things going on in this code. One is introducing the font family, which I'm showing here, font family Arial. It's also introducing this thing called classes. A class is like an ID where you can choose a specific thing, but a class allows you to use it for multiple things. For example, now that I have this font family here, I can delete all this code. Let's say I wanted to be able to make whatever I wanted in my website green. I wanted it to be able to make a lot of different things green. And I don't want to have to write H1 green, P green to change like all of every single one, or to make IDs for every single thing. Like, yeah, I could make a name ID for this, and then make another ID for the list called name2. Because what's important is that an ID can only be used once. It's unique. It's an identifier. There's only one ID of name. But there can be multiple classes. For example, in these styles, I can go dot green, green being the name of my class. Just like an ID, I can name it whatever I want. My name will be green. Braces, color, green. I can then add that class to whatever tag I want. I can make this particular H2 class equals green. I can make this one L1 here green, class green. And if I run my code, I see these two are now green. the reason this works is because I have a specific name that says, okay, whenever something has this name, whenever something has the class green, put this property on it, put the property of color green. And I can put that whenever I want. I cannot do that for an ID. An ID is only one particular thing, it's unique. There's only one name, for example, I can't put ID name on this one here. If I put ID equals name and I run it, okay, for some reason that worked, but usually it should throw an error. Either way, ID should be unique. I don't know why that actually worked, but that should throw some kind of error, and it's going to do weird stuff if you continue using it like a class. Classes are basically IDs, but you can use multiple times. IDs are unique and can only be used for one thing. First of all, any questions? Any immediate, I'm totally confused. All right. So let me ask you a question here. Let's say I wanted to make just my H1 and my P. If I want to just make those two have a background color of blue. I just wanted this particular P and this particular H1 to have the background color blue. And I wanted to use a class for that. I would put class. The name of the class would be blue. Same thing for my P. And now what would be my CSS? What would I put in my CSS to make this actually do something?
Blue. Dot blue.
Not blue, yeah. And just extra thing, like what would be the property I would be changing? Like what would my CSS be, the entire thing?
H1 and P.
Here, let me show you. It'd be dot blue, and then what I meant to say was, is background color. I just wanted to test that a little bit, but it's fine. Background color blue, and now I see I have a blue header and a blue P. I've also covered up my text for the header, but that's fine. No one can know my name. But yeah, the point is the dot here signifies a class. The hashtag signifies an ID, which is unique. And anything else is just normal. You will find that you very rarely actually use IDs just because having them be unique is usually just annoying. You can just have one thing have your particular class, that's fine. You don't really need one thing to have an ID. In terms of CSS, when later we use JavaScript for websites, you will be using IDs a lot because you do want to see a very specific thing. But for CSS, you almost always just be using classes. I don't remember the last time I even had an ID. So if I were to start making my website a little bit better, one thing I would want to do is have a class called Fancy. And for the class Fancy, I want to be able to make that text have a fancy font, a nice fun font. For that font, I'll do font-family cursive. and this is something you should be writing down. Dot fancy, font family cursive. I will then, in my index, I'll get rid of all my other classes here, clean up my code a bit. In my H1, I'll give it the class fancy. If I run it, I get, nice fancy text. Give everyone a chance to do that.
Can I see HTML?
Yes. There we go. Class equals fancy. All right, any problems anyone's having? All right, yeah, that looks good, Lucky. And Saul, how are you doing?
Can you show me? Yes, yes, yes. Thanks. You need the semicolon at the behind the cursive.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, if you remember, JavaScript actually technically needs semicolons at the end of everything, but JavaScript actually goes and like adds semicolons after, like before you run the code.
mhm.
It does not do that. You need to put in all the semicolons. All right, is it working?
It's still working. we can go ahead and because I think it's slow my machine.
All right, yeah, take your time. Also, just to say, it's possible you actually won't get this nice little cursive. It's possible you would get actually like a crayon drawing kind of font. That's because different browsers and different versions of browsers handle fonts differently. That's why if you notice in Lucky's older code, people tend to like comma separate their fonts. Like you have cursive, you also have comma, Helvetica, comma, sans serif. That's just so that like if that font or if that browser doesn't support cursive, like Internet Explorer is very famous for not supporting newer things, and like an older Internet Explorer thing just wouldn't support cursive or Helvetica, so you need to like specify each backup font. You don't need to do that for little things like this, but for bigger websites, you do want to have, backup fonts, because otherwise it's just going to default right to serif. And I am going to actually do a little bit of fun with font families here. Let's go ahead and make another class called let's call it dot and then text. That means we'll use this for all basic text we're going to write. Dot text. We'll do font family Helvetica. We'll give that class to my p tag here. Text. And if I run it, I get, yeah, that looks nice. It's a little bit different, It's not so crisp and, like text typewriter looking. It's nice and normal looking. And this also shows two different ways of like naming classes. Like technically you can name fancy whatever you want. You can name it Ajapaja. But you can either name it for what it does, like it makes it green, it makes it fancy. Or you can name it for what kind of stuff you be putting it to, like all your text. So you know that whenever you write text, you're going to want to add the text class to it whenever you write sort of normal text and not like a header or something special. In general, we're going to want to use class names like this, class names that specify what kind of stuff we'll be putting on it instead of class names that show what it is. That's just what the general thing you do, mostly because what it is not as important for like a developer coming into this code than what it's for. All right. Now, let me do a little question here. Let's say in my .fancy class, I was going to put a little bit more than just making it fancy. I think the color teal, T-E-A-L, I think that's a very fancy color. So I'll go color teal. Now, I also, if you notice up here, all my H1s are the color blue. And in my class, I have the color as teal. I have the class H, this particular class, fancy, all my H1, and there are two different colors being shown here. what color will my header be? Teal, blue, or some other color?
Teal.
Teal, that's correct. Again, because more specific beats more broad. This is for all H1s. This is for all things with this particular class. It's more specific than just every H1 on the website. You do notice though, it does keep the background color yellow. It doesn't completely override everything. It just overrides things that array has, and it adds things like the font family. Now let's say I also have an ID called header. And that particular ID will have the color brown. Let's say I put this ID on my H1. I have an ID header, I have an H1 with an ID header and a class fancy. What color would my header be now?
Brown.
Brown, yes. Now if I run it, it is brown. And if I comment out that ID, it is teal. Again, IDs are considered more specific since there should be only one ID. All right. All right, let's now. Oh, and Thaw, in general, how are you doing with keeping up with like my typing here?
It's okay.
Okay, yeah. You'll get faster at typing code as you do it. Like at this point, it's mostly muscle memory for me to type code. I can do it with my eyes closed, mostly. But yeah, especially at first, you know, it's like learning a whole nother language. All right, let's go ahead and mess with our list a little bit. And here is my little challenge. And so you can kind of drop everything else here to just go to this particular list. This will be our last challenge before we end the class. Okay, my challenge will be to make a class called list, or lists, plural. Here's the name of the class. It'll be for all lists. And in that class, I want to be able to have the properties of a font size Arial. Here is the Arial font size, or sorry, font family Arial. I want the color, let's go gray. I want the color gray, or no, let's go gold. I want the color gold, font family Arial. I want a background color called gray. We do background color gray, the color of the text should be gold, and the font family should be Arial. And I want that as a class, and I want that class to be put on this unordered list.
What is teal for? No teal.
Oh shoot, I still have a teal there. The teal was for earlier.
Oh, okay.
I made the color of my header, this little fancy thing, I made the color teal. I want a class called list that sets the font family is Arial, color gold, background color gray. I want to put that class on the unordered list tag. All right. Those are the correct properties, Lucky, but I do want it to be a class called lifts, and not on the body. Although everything else is correct. All right. That is very close. It would give the same effect, but for teaching purposes, I do want it to be a class called lifts. All right. If you're having trouble here, I can show you real quick. Remember to make a class. We will go in our style sheet. Dot. Dot is the signifier of creating a class. Dot and then the name list. The name could be whatever we want it to be. So dot list, and then as you did, color gold, background color gray, and font family Arial. Shoot, I misspelled family. There we go. Oh, and I also need to, in my unordered list, go class equals list. And there we go. All right, has anyone been able to get the class working? There we go, Lucky. All right, that's good, Lucky. And Saul, out of curiosity, is it like a typing issue? Like you're having trouble, typing fast, or is there another error you're having?
Yeah, it's just typing.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have a mouse and
Oh, right, yeah. I see, yes. What computer are you on? What kind of computer?
I have a Chrome.
Okay, yeah. Yep, that should be fine. Yeah. Yeah. Also, you can kind of also like use the arrow keys to kind of do stuff there. But yeah, eventually, once you start coding enough, you get better at being able to do it quickly. I would also say, just in general, you already need to do this right now or anytime soon. This class is mostly on REPL, but especially I know your particular Chrome, but like older Chromes, you can't actually download anything. So one important thing when doing more coding, more professional, or at least a more serious capacity, is getting a computer that can actually download stuff. That way you can download things like VS Code and stuff. And I will make a video soon on how actually to set up that whole environment. That way, at some point, you can start doing that as well if you'd like. We're nearing the end of the lesson here. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. Let's say we missed the class or we would like to go through whatever we learned today. Is there a way to listen to the recording or any video that we can watch afterwards?
Yeah, I'm actually recording the class right now, and afterwards, once Zoom kind of processes everything, it will have a cloud recording, and I'll post on Facebook the actual cloud recording. I know I haven't been doing that recently, but I just figured out how to actually record stuff. So. But yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. It will be recorded from now on. All right. So for the little bit of kind of homework here, we'll keep going over this whole class thing. I know it's probably a little confusing right now, especially when trying to actually remember how to like type it all down. For homework, I would say take your time typing it out and try to like make a little cool looking website, you know, try to add things that you want to add. Maybe try to like look up something else to add to the website. You can even just add more p tags to say more stuff, add more styling, whatever you would like to make a little like website introducing yourself, and then you can screenshot the website and the code and post it on the Facebook group. If you're not already on there, I'll make a post about like the link for the group, and then you can post your code on the group. So hope you're all able to learn something today. We'll keep going over it. We'll keep learning more things. And remember, if you don't remember how to do something, there is this video that I will be posting about this class, and also looking it up. Looking it up is the go-to strategy for coders. So hope you all have a good time. The next class is on Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And thank you for coming. See you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.